Get NFL Sunday Ticket at its lowest price ever and watch every game every Sunday. Take your NFL experience to even greater heights with NFL Sunday Ticket Deluxe, which gives you Red Zone, bringing you the final yards from around the league along with minute-to-minute NFL fantasy updates. Call us at 601-8992 to sign up today.
Good evening, Bahamas, and thanks for joining us at MB12. Coming up tonight in news, more power outages on the way for residents on New Providence. 2 schools to close temporarily in the wake of reported health hazards. An exclusive look at how Atlantis said goodbye to a nearly 800-pound guest, and how soon you can expect to see legislation for the proposed implementation of value-added tax. We have those stories and much more coming up tonight. I'm Christina McNeil, and your MB12 starts right now. Thanks for joining us. As some Bahamians continue to struggle with high electricity bills and can't keep the lights on, many are in and out of darkness through no fault of their own. BEC is having a difficult time providing a consistent flow of power to many homes on New Providence this week. And according to officials, relief is still days away. Vonique Toot has more in this report.
If you're one of thousands of BEC customers inconvenienced by power outages this week, Executive Chairman Leslie Miller warns you probably have to endure this vexing problem until next week. Frustrated residents, particularly those living in eastern New Providence, took to social networking sites to blast BEC over supply interruptions, which left them in the dark last night and unable to perform basic functions like taking a hot bath or ironing school uniforms this morning. One resident told us he experienced 30 to 60-minute blackouts at least 6 times between last night and this morning. So here's the problem.
And that was because we've just installed a new 25 out on Blue Hills. And we're having some problems with synchronizing that engine into our mix. And once that's done, hopefully between now and I guess but Monday or Tuesday, things should go back to normal. And in fact, we apologize to all of our customers for the interruptions.
Miller says engineers from BEC and Hitachi are working on it. However, he insisted power outages have all been brief.
For very short periods. And all have been less than an hour. And during the day. So most people are to work or to school. So there's really haven't been any major interruption. And you've had no blackouts or load shedding for the entire summer.
As officials work to correct this problem, Miller says here's something to smile about. In an effort to ease the burden placed on thousands of consumers, BEC is suspending disconnection exercises for 2 weeks starting Monday.
The corporation has decided to temporarily discontinue the disconnection of electricity supply to all residential customers due to non-payment. Now what this means is that for the next 2 weeks, residential customers who are already burdened with high electricity bills will get some reprieve. This especially goes out to those parents burdened by the recent start of the new school year.
The program, which only applies to residential customers, ends on Monday, September 30th. That means as of October 1st, you'll be at risk for disconnection if you don't pay your light bill. Miller estimates 5,000 Bahamian households are currently without power supply. He noted that if residents come in, they could end up paying as little as 10% of their bill to get reconnected.
The minister said, listen, we want the lights on. I don't care what means you use to do it, because something is better than nothing. Instead of asking them to pay 30 or 40%, they may only pay 10%. but at least the light would be on.
This latest incentive comes 3 months after BEC offered a 2% discount to customers who paid their June, July, and August light bills in full and on time, and a 10% discount for those who paid overdue balances in full. Miller says the discount program was so successful, they're extending it for another 2 months. Reporting for MB12, I'm Vonique Toot.
Well, following yesterday's sit-out by teachers at Uriah McPhee and Stephen Dillett Primary Schools, Director of Education Lionel Sands confirmed today that the issues at those two schools need to be addressed. And therefore, just 2 weeks into the new school year, classes at the primary schools have been suspended until further notice. Paige McCartney reports.
Sands admitted the ministry was unaware of the severity of the problems at the two schools. He said he met with teachers from the schools last night to hear their grievances. The decision was made to close the schools for the remainder of the week after an assessment team that was sent to the schools today confirmed that there was mold in one of the schools and the air conditioning systems at both schools had failed.
The director said for now, parents should remain on standby as to whether these two schools will open on Monday. He said the Ministry of Education will issue a statement late Sunday evening confirming the exact time Stephen Dillett Primary and Uriah McPhee Primary will open.
Expect that over the weekend, the next several days, that these matters would be cleared up. However, by the end of Sunday, I'd be able to say to parents whether the children should be able to come to school on Monday morning. I would wish to do that probably Sunday evening, so that parents would not prepare children to come to school when it's not really, the school is not fixed for them to be accommodated.
On Wednesday, Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson said that Stephen Dillett Primary was infested with rats and that the stench of the rodents' feces and urine filled the school, making it difficult for teachers and students to concentrate. Sands said while there was an issue with rodents at the school, it had been resolved.
I do know that we did have some rodent problems, particularly around the yard in the school, and that has been dealt with by the environmental health people. And so those issues are no longer issues for us. I think the only issue would be where some of the rodents may have died in places where, of course, they would begin to decay. And so the problem is to find those rodents where they're decaying and to have them removed.
Regarding the mold at Uriah McPhee that teachers complained about, Sands said because the school is fully enclosed without windows, it's more susceptible to mold. He added that while structural repairs were carried out at both schools in June, because they remained closed all summer long, mold accumulated in the ventilation systems. He said the mold should be removed by Friday. When asked why the schools were opened if they were not ready for the first day of school, Sands said teams of education officials and contractors did check the schools right before the opening of school, and everything seemed fine.
Folks went in, but you would have to understand, with air-conditioned system, if you have one or two persons going in a room, that won't have the impact as if there were 700, 800 kids in the school with several teachers. And so the problems of the air conditioning will be more pronounced when you have hundreds of children in it and dozens of teachers in it. But when the contractors went in and the persons went in to check, you're talking about 2 or 3 persons. And so it wouldn't have that kind of impact on the air conditioned system. And so those things were not really realized until all of the students were in the school, all of the teachers were in the school, and then the heat from them, impacting the air conditioning the way it is being impacted.
When school opened in September, you found the units were working. Units could be working today, tomorrow, down. Okay, that is the challenge.
According to First Assistant Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Coleman Andrews, while the repairs to the air-conditioned system at Uriah McPhee are minor and just require a new belt, which he purchased himself today, repairs at Stephen Dillett will cost government well in excess of $50,000. The education officials thanked parents and teachers for being patient with them as they work to resolve the problems that have long plagued the more than 50-year-old school facilities. Reporting for MB12, I'm Paige McCartney.
Atlantis has released its 7th manta ray into the Atlantic Ocean. A team of marine aquarists said farewell to a nearly 800-pound female ray named Athena today. Nikki DeVoe was there for the hour-and-a-half-long process. She has the details in this report.
A flying manta ray? It's not a sight you see often, but it's one that the Atlantis research and release team has grown accustomed to seeing over the years, and one our news team witnessed for a second time. But let's backtrack a bit. We headed over to the Paradise Island Resort first thing this morning to meet with the team just before they prepared for yet another successful transfer from the resort's 2.7 million gallon marine habitat to the Atlantic Ocean.
Once we get her netted off, we try to just slowly follow her, get her to try to come up as close to that net as possible. And like we did previous years, the net's going to be in like this. Once she comes up to it, we'll push it. The divers will push her up. Everybody else on the net will kind of lift her up.
That was Senior Collector Todd Kemp explaining the process to the team during a briefing at around 7:15 this morning. But trust me, it sounded a lot easier than it was. As guests looked on, the clever manta ray did her best to thwart the divers' plans.
And as you can see, it's not easy getting Athena into the net. After about 15 minutes, she's still taking her time.
But a few minutes later, the team finally got the female manta ray to cooperate. Athena received a comprehensive medical examination as she rested comfortably and calmly in the hand-woven net stretched across a custom-engineered frame. Well, sort of.
We weigh them when they come in, when we first collect them, to get an idea of the weight then, and then we'll weigh them on the way out. It gives us a good idea of their growth rate during the time they're here. Same with the measurements. We can come in at around 6.5, 7 feet, and then when we release them, they're almost 13, so that's in 2 years, so it's quite a bit of growth.
Athena weighed in at over 700 pounds and measured 13 feet in length. She was tagged with an advanced version of a satellite pat tag that will track her movements for the next 180 days. And then it was time for the gentle giant to head home in grand style.
And after 2 years and 2 months here at Atlantis, Athena is on her way home to the ocean. It's a bittersweet moment for the Water Features team.
You get a certain attachment to the animals. They grow up in your exhibits. Even though 2 years may not seem like a long time, 2 years to us is long because they grow so quickly. So it's almost like watching your children grow and then you're having to release them. So, yeah.
The team is the first and only one of 2 groups in the world conducting research on the species in the Atlantic Ocean. Manta rays are released from the resort once they reach a certain size. Atlantis is currently searching for a new manta ray for its exhibit. NB12 will have more on that collection process and the resort's marine husbandry practices and research this weekend. Reporting for NB12, I'm Nakia DeVoe.